Hi, my dears. So, do you ever find yourself struggling with trying to exert your boundaries or with speaking your truth, speaking up and saying your bit? I have done all my life, and I'm going to share with you a very strong story that happened to me like a few days ago. That really made it so clear to me why the fear is there to speak up, and how actually when we do face that fear and speak up, we can live so much more authentically and protect ourselves and exert our right to have the space that we have the right for. So so what happened? I was at Wimbledon, the big tennis match and tennis tournament, in fact, championship. And the guy sitting behind me was just talking the whole way through, like la 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 la, this really big, boomy, loud voice, just talking all the way through the points. And I don't know if you know much about tennis, but you don't do that. Like in football, fine, right? That's the culture. But in tennis, like they expect that, that silence is maintained while the players are playing. And everyone else was pretty quiet. If they wanted to say something to their neighbour, they'd say it in between a point when everyone's applauding, and they'd do it discreetly. But this guy was just like incessantly chattering all the way through. and not just chatting, but also coughing and sneezing on my back. And it was like, ugh, it was gross. Like I felt really gross. And I felt really... I perceived myself to be really invaded. It was like this guy just there behind me that was taking, like, for the whole of the first match, all my attention was going to him. And I couldn't enjoy the match at all because my system was partly in fear of having someone during a pandemic coughing and sneezing over me, fear for my health, and partly like I was really triggered by this guy, and my head's like, doesn't he respect people? Doesn't he give a about the people around? And I was all in this head story and focused there. And then I noticed that I was starting to kind of get really tired. Even though otherwise before and after I was fine, like my body literally kind of started to close down, shut down. And I've learnt through in recent months about how this is actually part of the fight or flight. Like there's the dorsal system of the nervous system when it kind of shuts down because it's perceiving, the nervous system is perceiving danger. And one of the ways that shows up in our body is that we get very tired and we start to shut down as a way to cope with what the body perceives as danger. So I was kind of getting tired and I was like hardly breathing very shallow because I didn't want to be taking in the breath that had been exhaled from this guy. It was ugh. And so I was kind of energetically like, there's that state of being where you're like expansive and your energy is when you're out in nature or after making love or something that you're like, wow, expansive. And I just felt my energy field kind of like pull inside and really close down, shut down. And I didn't have the courage to say anything. And come the end of the match, I was like, come on, I've got to say something. There's 2 more matches. I'm not going to enjoy my whole day, like my day out, I'm not going to enjoy it if this guy carries on like the way he is. So I said, right, I'm gonna say something to him. And immediately my heart, boom, 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 boom. My palms started sweating. I started like so nervous to say something to this complete stranger, which I was completely in my right to say something about, right? He was acting out of the expected culture of Wimbledon. So, but still my body was having this extreme reaction. so intense fear, right? My nervous system was going into overdrive. There's danger, there's danger, there's danger. Be scared, fear, and going into like this fight or flight mechanism of the nervous system. And I just held space for that, and I was like, yeah, but I'm going to say something. So I spoke to him, and I said, when you've been something along the lines of, I just wanted to let you know that I couldn't enjoy that whole match because hearing your voice like through the whole point just completely was distracting me, and I found it really hard to be with the tennis. So I just want to let you know that's what's happening for me while you talk so much. And he listened, and then kind of at the end like looked away and didn't respond, didn't reply anything. But for the next like 5 to 10 minutes, my whole system was shaking and heart was still racing, and I was still coming down from this intensity of talking to him, right? And it was the physical reaction was so strong. And so I've been processing this a lot afterwards, processing the whole experience, really, and thinking about this, saying something, speaking up, because for sure throughout my life, I learned to, for whatever reason, I learned to shut up, not say anything, and be good and obedient, and don't exert my will or my desires in the world. It's very much okay, give other people what they want, prioritize what they want over what I want, and that comes out, that has over the years come out in many different ways, and it's something that I've been working on a lot for the last 10 years. Like, if I think put my spiritual growth into one word, almost, assertiveness would kind of in a nutshell be it. So this coming out and sharing what's going on for me, and there's so much fear around doing this, and I know it's not just me. So that's why I'm sharing this story, because I know so many people that would, in that kind of situation, would not say anything but be seething inside, or would act passively aggressively to him, like glaring at him, or it coming out like not saying their truth, but it coming out in other ways. And how much of the time do we do that in our intimate relationships, right? Like, we're not happy with something, but rather than facing the fear and authentically sharing what's going on for us, we get pissed off, and then we kind of round the side, we nag, or we have these ways to passively aggressively attack the other one. Yeah, so I want to share this with you because there is a way of moving through it, and I think a part of it is knowing how to communicate, and finding the courage to communicate. So the body is going to have its nervous system reaction when it perceives danger. We've got ancient brains. We've got our very intelligent, I can't remember offhand, whether the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that is conscious, responsible for conscious thought. But we also have our ancient brains that are still running off survival mechanism. So when I spoke to that guy, my system, even though like mentally, of course, I knew I'm safe, like what's he going to do there in the middle of Wimbledon, like nothing. But the ancient part of my brain, danger, 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 danger. And so the body goes into this heart racing, like I'm ready to run, I'm ready to fight. Like this is the natural protective mechanism of the nervous system and of the body to prepare for danger when it perceives danger. And so because this instinctive fear is so huge, like it still dominates our being, or not dominates, but it's still very strong in our being, that many of us choose to not say anything. And then it becomes difficult inside us. We're not really standing up for ourselves, and we're not speaking our truth. We're not protecting our boundaries. So on one hand, it's to hold that fear. Okay, no, mentally no. Okay, I'm safe. I am safe. And know that this instinctive, ancient part of our nervous system and our brain is going to perceive danger. So there will be, or there may well be, heart racing, sweaty palms, pupils dilating, nervousness, fear, and that's okay. That's okay that's there. So part of spirituality, part of inner work is holding space for what arises. So this is our time to do the inner work of holding space for that fear and choosing, do I want to say something? Do I want to protect my boundaries? Do I want to honor myself? Do I want to speak my truth or not? And then if we choose that, we hold space for the fear. And then we communicate. And then how do we communicate in a way that can be heard in the best way by the other? So a little tip for that is to, rather than saying anything about you, like blame, like saying, when you do this, I feel that. So we're really owning our experience. So that was what I said with this guy. Like I found it really difficult to enjoy this match because you were talking a lot through the match. So it's just like a fact of what the other was doing, not your perception of what they were doing, but the fact of what they were doing and what the impact of that was on you, how you felt about that, how that impacted you, how that affected you. And then if you have a request to ask from them, such as, could you please not talk through the rest of the match during the points? And so this is like these 3 steps is, when you do this, I'm feeling this, or the impact on me is this. Could you please do this? Yeah? And then we're not blaming the other, we're not throwing our stuff on the other, throwing our reaction, our triggers. We're just very factually acknowledging what they did and how that made us feel and what we want, what we request of them from there. Yeah, and after that, just to throw in the end there, the guy did stop talking. He stopped talking. Or he just spoke like a little bit in between the points, much quieter, and I could relax into the rest of the day. Not fully because the coughing, but okay, that's another story. But yeah, so my communication paid off, right? And I could enjoy the rest of the day. Because my boundaries had been honoured, and I'd faced my fear to speak my truth. So with this, I invite you, where in your life, what situation comes up today, tomorrow, this week, where you have a fear to say something, you're holding back, maybe in a relationship, and maybe it's an ongoing thing, or maybe just in one experience like that. Do you notice that you're not saying something because of the fear? And then I invite you to recognize, okay, here is the fear, and do I choose to say something? Do I choose to honor myself? And I invite you to honor yourself and to speak up. And knowing that may well be really hard. And even for me, I've been doing this inner journey work for many, many, many years. And still, like, how extreme was my physical reaction, right? It's not that we do the work and then we're healed from it and we're fine. No, the fear still comes. Like that phrase, face the fear and do it anyway. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you want to stay in touch, so I've founded Awaken Your Medicine, so please do connect with me over on Instagram. I'm posting also more regular things over there. And if you want one-to-one coaching with me, I'm also available to help you to face your fears, to speak up, to share who you are in the world, to speak your truth, to get empowered in your voice as well, because that's a big journey for many of us, and I've taken many steps in that direction. So I hope this was useful for you. Take care, and I will see you soon.